Have you ever imagined that a single brushstroke could determine the fate of all humanity? Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 is a deeply artistic game where the line between beauty and destruction becomes fragile. In a world both romantic and grim, people are erased each year according to a number drawn by a mysterious entity known as the Paintress. The game follows a group of expeditioners, those who bear the mission to end this brutal cycle. In this video, we'll unravel the mysterious and profound story of Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, where art is not only beauty, but also a force powerful enough to alter destiny. The story takes place 67 years after the first eradication event, when the city of Lumiere was severed from the rest of the world and left isolated in the middle of the ocean. The people of Lumiere refer to that first event as the fracture, and the later eradication events as Gommage. Let's talk briefly about Gommage. In French, Gommage means erasure, and in Lumiere, the Paintress awakens once a year and draws a number on the monolith, each year decreasing by 1. Anyone whose age matches that number turns into petals and vanishes. To prevent Gommage from leading to the extinction of all people in Lumiere, expedition teams were formed and named after the number drawn by the Paintress. Their mission is to head toward the monolith and find a way to destroy the Paintress, so she can no longer harm the people of Lumiere. We follow Expedition 33, who set off immediately after the latest Gommage event. As soon as they arrive at the shore, they are stopped by a white-haired man. He's wearing the standard uniform of the expeditioners, but strangely, he appears to be much older than anyone should be. How the hell did he survive Gommage? Without hesitation, he coldly slaughters the entire expedition team. Only a few manage to escape. Gustave is one of them. He wakes up near a waterfall, unsure how he's still alive. All he knows is that he must keep moving, until he stumbles upon a mountain of corpses, piled high with the bodies of fellow expeditioners. In despair, Gustave points a gun to his own head. But just in time, Lune appears and stops him, restoring his will to continue the mission. On their way to the rally point, the two come across a wall engraved with a message. It says that Maëlle, Gustave's adoptive younger sister, has been taken to a shelter somewhere north, near a region filled with strange coral reefs. They follow the clue and eventually find Maëlle in a manor. She tells them that after the incident on the beach, she woke up in that place and was helped by a mysterious being known as the Curator. The three of them continue their journey to find the Paintress, but not long into their journey, they encounter Noko, a gestrel, one of the legendary creatures from Lumiere's fairy tales. Noko tells them that in order to reach the Paintress, they must cross the sea. Of course, none of them have wings or fins, so they can't cross the sea. Therefore, they need to go to the village of the gestrel to meet the village chief, Golgra, to ask about how to get across the sea. In the village of the gestrel, the three of them reunite with Ciel, a surviving member of the expedition group from the beach incident. Now the group has 4 members. They make their way to Chief Golgra and ask how to cross the sea. Golgra tells them to seek out Eski, another legendary creature from Lumiere's fairy tales. Eski will help them cross the sea if they ask nicely. While camping and chatting happily with everyone, Maëlle suddenly falls into a time-stopped state. In front of her appears a white-haired girl wearing a mask to conceal the scars on her face. However, she's not alone. The white-haired man from the beach also appears. He tells her that everything is Maëlle's fault, and she is only making things worse. He advises her to return home and spend her final days peacefully. These are his last words of warning to her. Then, everything returns to normal. Maëlle is shocked, and the others are left confused, not understanding what just happened, as though she had just gone through a nightmare. The next day, the group sets out to find Eski. It turns out that Eski is a large, strong, and cheerful creature, but he's also quite lazy. He asks the group to go to his neighbor's house and get a precious stone for him so that he can gather enough strength to take the group across the sea. They expect Eski's neighbor to be just as cheerful as he is, but in reality, the neighbor is the complete opposite, a grumpy, foul-mouthed talking stone. After retrieving the stone, Eski agrees to help the group cross the sea. However, something unfortunate happens.
Ooh, what about that one?
Does it really matter?
like I always say, it's not about the rock. It's more about...
Gustav.
Run.
Gustav sacrifices himself to protect Maëlle, but it proves to be futile, as the white-haired man is too powerful. Just as he's about to strike Maëlle, a stranger appears and saves her. The stranger later reveals himself to be Verso, a member of Expedition Zero, the first expedition team. He explains that something has kept the members of his group from aging or being affected by Gommage. The white-haired man is Renoir, his commander. Renoir believes that this immortality is a gift from the Paintress, and that killing the Paintress would also kill him, so he kills all the expeditioners, betraying the people of Lumiere. Verso then joins the team and leads them to the Paintress, taking over Gustav's role. On their journey, they come across a manor, where Maëlle encounters a strange woman who looks very much like the curator. Soon after, Renoir and the white-haired girl appear, looking very close to each other. Renoir reveals a truth to them. Verso is his son, but now he is betraying his family, following his own ideals. Verso and the group then fight Renoir to avenge Gustav. However, in the midst of the battle, Verso rushes to protect Maëlle and calls her Alicia. Suddenly, time stops, and the white-haired girl appears before Maëlle. She removes her mask, revealing a face full of scars. She shows Maëlle a fire, a blaze that destroyed her family. Then the entire manor and her family vanish, leaving Maëlle and the expedition team with questions that have no answers. Continuing their journey and facing countless challenges, the expedition team is equipped with a weapon forged by the curator, designed to defeat the Paintress. When they finally reach the monolith, they are once again stopped by Renoir. Despite their best efforts, they cannot defeat him. In their most desperate moment, the curator appears, standing before Renoir, and the two engage in a strange conversation. Renoir says that Verso is all that remains of the curator's son, and killing him will not bring his wife back. The curator, unfazed, takes Maëlle's hand, places it on Renoir's chest, and makes him disappear forever. The group enters to face the Paintress, who tells them that Maëlle is not Alicia, and Verso is not the Verso she knows. This is just a trick, a creation of him. Enraged, the Paintress attacks the expedition team. After a tense battle, the Paintress stops attacking the team and, instead, heals them, even though they are trying to strike her. In the end, as she lies in Verso's arms, she bitterly asks him,
Why?
When Maëlle touches the Paintress, she calls her Alicia once again before vanishing along with her monolith. Maëlle, Lune, and Ciel plant the Expedition 33 flag at the spot where the Paintress died. They are shocked, yet filled with hope for Lumiere's future. The team returns home, where they are greeted as heroes. However, their joy is short-lived as a shockwave erupts from the broken monolith. As it passes through the people of Lumiere, each of them vanishes, as if they are experiencing Gommage. We are transported back to a time in the past, where we take on the role of Alicia, waking up in a bed in a manner that resembles the one the expedition team had visited earlier. Alicia follows the call of Clea, her older sister, and goes downstairs to meet her. At this moment, the full truth about the world of Lumiere is revealed. Alicia's family are painters, able to use magic to create a living world from their imagination within the canvas. Alicia's brother, Verso, was killed while trying to save Alicia during a fire started by their rivals, the writers, who had used Alicia to spark the blaze. Their mother, Aline, drowned in grief and entered a canvas created by Verso, which was the world the expeditioners had once lived in. Aline created a version of her family within this canvas to ease her pain. Renoir, Aline's husband, saw this, and he knows about its consequence, so he entered the canvas to bring her back. Aline is the Paintress, but her numbers are not a threat. Rather, they are a warning that Renoir, her husband, is trying to destroy the world of the expeditioners in order to force Aline to return home. Alicia and Clea, in the real world, realize that their parents have been fighting in the canvas for too long. They plan to help Renoir return to the real world as soon as possible because Clea needs him to fight against the writers. Therefore, the two decide to hide Verso's canvas in a place where Aline will never find it. Alicia will enter this canvas to find a way to bring her parents back, while Clea will deal with the writers. Alicia enters the canvas, but in her panic, she is controlled by Aline's chroma, which envelops her and transforms her into one of her mother's creations within this world. Alicia is resurrected as a new person, losing all memories of being a painter and of who she truly was. Now she is Maëlle. Back in the present, Maëlle, now fully restored with all the memories of Alicia, reunites with Verso, the only one unaffected by the Gommage. Together, they set out to find her real father, Renoir, hoping he could restore Lumiere so that Verso's creation might survive without Aline. However, Renoir refuses. He believes the temptation is too great. No matter where Alicia hides the canvas, her mother will eventually find it and cast herself into it once more. So, Maëlle begins to form a plan of her own, knowing that she is a paintress too. She decides to resurrect her fallen companions using her own power. The expedition will then travel across the continent, gathering chroma from fallen expeditioners, to build an army and launch an assault on Lumiere, which is now occupied by Renoir and his creations. Eventually, Maëlle and her team confront Renoir, who remains determined to destroy this world. In the end, they defeat him and force both Renoir and Aline to leave the canvas. After the battle, Maëlle and Verso pass through the space between the canvas and the real world. There, they find a boy hunched over, endlessly painting on a canvas. It is the soul of Verso, trapped within the painting ever since his death, laboring eternally to keep his creation alive. Verso now wishes to be freed and to destroy the painting, while Maëlle wants to preserve it, unwilling to return to a lonely life in the real world. Here, they fight for their ideals, each seeking a different fate for the world they've built. This final confrontation leads to two possible endings for the game, and it's difficult to say which is the good ending or bad ending, for each comes at its own cost. If you choose to fight as Maëlle, she defeats Verso, while the canvas, and everyone within it, lives on forever. Before his death, Verso begs Maëlle not to paint him. He doesn't want this life. The scene then shifts to Lumiere, perhaps sometime later. The town is bustling and lively. Meanwhile, Maëlle, along with her companions, including Gustave, sits inside the opera house. An older Verso appears on stage, preparing to perform a piano concerto. The camera then lingers on Maëlle, her face streaked with paint, just like her mother's after days spent inside the canvas. This implies that Maëlle's victory has prolonged the cycle of grief. Though Aline has escaped the canvas, her daughter is now trapped within it by her own obsession and sorrow. If you choose to fight as Verso, he defeats Maëlle. As Maëlle slowly fades away, Verso reminds her that she has the power of a painter. She never has to live a life she doesn't want, because she can always create a new one. He then bids a final farewell to his friend, takes the hand of his own spirit, and the two disappear together. The scene shifts back to the real world, where Alicia and her family hold a moment of silence at Verso's grave. The mood is somber, but the family clearly finds comfort in having each other. Alicia lingers after her parents and sister leave, and she sees a fleeting vision of Lune, Ciel, Gustave, Verso, and Maëlle waving to her from the in-between. This suggests that Alicia can find some solace in her memories of Expedition 33, even though they are no longer with her. While grief remains, Alicia and her parents may find a new way to heal, one not rooted in eternal fantasy but in moving forward,